Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Jessica and I talk about books, especially fantasy and sci-fi, but all kinds of books. So today is my birthday, so I'm excited about that. And we are also marking 6 months of me having this YouTube channel. So in celebration of that, I thought it would be fun to go out and do a little bit of a mostly bargain book hunting trip. So we're going to hit up some thrift stores. We're going to go to some used bookstores. I do have a 25% off coupon that I want to use on my birthday at a local bookstore. So we're going to go there too. And I think it's going to be a fun kind of day. I think at the end, I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of my thoughts on how it has been having this channel for the last 6 months and being on YouTube and kind of being part of this community that I haven't been part of before. I am filming this right now in the same spot that I filmed my Booktube Newbie tag. It looks different because I have cleaned the room up and I no longer have a bookshelf behind me because I have to get a bigger bookshelf because that's what YouTube does to you. But I am sitting in the same room in the same space and I am so excited to go out today and have some fun for my birthday. Check out some bookstores, check out some thrift stores, and I'm going to take you all with me. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello. So I have returned from my birthday book shopping. So I'm going to start out the book haul with John's birthday present to me. I mean, the one that wasn't just me not having to plan anything, which was amazing, but he did get me a present too. And I was really excited about it because it was something that I really wanted, that I was probably not going to buy for myself because I had other things that were more pressing. So he got me the full set of the Locked Tomb series. You can see those. So we've got Gideon, right? Cover up my eyeballs so you can see these. We've got Nona. These are not in order. And we have Harrow the Ninth. So the Locked Tomb series, if you're new here, is one of my very, very favorite series of books. I would say that they are sci-fantasy. I think a lot of people think of them as sci-fi books and a sci-fi series, and I think they have that element to them, but they are very fantastical, and I don't think that just because something is set in space, that necessarily makes it science fiction. So I think these are fantasy. I would say these are a lot closer to fantasy than they are to science fiction. If you want to get into science fiction, these would probably be a pretty good place to start. They are very gothic and dark. You have a world where necromancy is the predominant magic. There's a lot. It's a very twisty mystery kind of series where in every book you learn new things that change everything that you thought you knew about the series before. And I think they're just fantastic. Gideon is one of my favorite characters of all time. I love her. And yeah, I just love them. And I did not want to buy the soft covers of these because the soft covers have a drop cover, where you've got the cover that is a little bit shorter in the front so that you can peel it back and there's like New York Times bestseller or something like that on it. I hate those. And I was not going to buy them. And I kept complaining every time we saw one used. I was like, ugh, I can't buy it because I don't want to own that version of it. So he found me the hardcovers. And now when Electo the Ninth comes out, hopefully next year, but we don't know yet, I will go ahead and pre-order that so that I can add it to my complete set. But this was a very exciting birthday present for me. I love them. And then after that, he took me to the Bookery. The Bookery is a bookstore that is in Columbia, Tusculum. And Columbia, Tusculum is down on the river on the east side of Cincinnati. And they're probably, in terms of, I would say, indie, full price, primarily bookstores. They're my favorite one. They have a good selection. They're very friendly. It's in a super charming part of town. They have this adorable logo that is very retro that I really love. So we went there. I had a 25% off one book coupon because I shopped there on Indie Bookstore Day. And when you bought something that day, they gave you a 25% off coupon to be used in July. So I used my coupon. And the book that I got with my coupon was Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Pull that back a little so you can see it better. I read this book. It's a new release. It came out in June. I read it in June, the week that it came out, and I love this book. It's such a fantastic book. I think that if you like your robot stories to have a little bit of a sense of humor, I think this is a fantastic one. We follow a robot named Uncharles, and Uncharles, it has somehow, through means that I will not explain, he can no longer do his job. And his job is to be a valet, a personal servant to very, very rich humans. And so he sets off on this journey through this ruined world to find someone else for whom he can lay out their clothes and shave them and do all the things that a valet would do. Naturally, that doesn't go super well for him. This book is also has different sections that are an homage to different authors, such as Agatha Christie, Dante, things like that. It's just a really fantastic book and very different from what I was expecting for Adrian Tchaikovsky. So if you haven't read any of his books, I think this might be a good place to start. It is a standalone and I absolutely loved it. And I love the cover. The cover's green. Green is my favorite color. Big fan. Yeah, it's called Murderbot Meets Red Shirts. And I feel like I can definitely see both of those because of the sense of humor. Murderbot, I think that's actually a pretty good one. I saw some people saying they didn't think it was, but I think it's a good one. So I would definitely recommend this book. And I was really excited to get it for 25% off. So, and then I did pay full price for one book because I was there and it was my birthday. And I also gave this book 5 stars when I read it, I believe in May. And that is The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wasteland by Sarah Brooks. Look at that cover. It's so pretty with the train down all the way around. And if you can tell that that's a train going all the way around. And then this, the gold foiling on it. It's got a lot of really great stuff on the inside, such as a train map. Yes, yes, you can see the different parts of the train, and I love that. So this book, if I haven't talked about it enough, this book is I would say that it's kind of a lighter fantasy too. If you're trying to get into fantasy, it's almost more like magical realism. We're in this world, it's the 1800s. There is a train, which is the only way that you can travel across the Siberian wastelands, kind of. So something has happened. The plant life will attack you. The animals are strange. Nothing is normal. And it is said that people cannot live there. And so this train, called the Trans-Siberian Express, is the only way to get across. But on this journey, something is going to go wrong. And that's the setup. And I would say that it is a very descriptive novel. I think that if you liked, for instance, The Night Circus, I think this would be something you would like because it is very descriptive, kind of vibes over plot a little bit, but there is a plot, a little bit more, I think, than you might think that there was. And the writing is beautiful. And this is a debut novel, and I never would have thought that it was. And it was one of my big surprises when I read it. So I really, again, it's green, favorite color, wanted to pick it up. So this one I did pay full price for, unusual for me. And then I got one more book at the Bookery, and this was on their 25% off sale table, I suppose because they're not selling enough copies. So it's a small space. You can only keep so much stuff around. And this book was on my top 10 list of 2023, and that is The Wager by David Grann. This tells the story of an actual voyage that happened where there was an actual mutiny, an actual like historical controversy. So David Grann also wrote Killers of the Flower Moon. Is that right? I'm not sure. David Grann's a great writer. He makes you really feel like you are there. And while historic shipping information does not sound that exciting to me, he made it really great. And I found myself caring a lot about all of the tiny little details of what it was like to be on a ship in this time period. If you like books about history, you like books about ships, you like mysteries, I think those are all things that would make this book really great. I know it says on here it's a #1 New York Times bestseller. I think that Barnes & Noble had it as their nonfiction book of the year last year. It's just had a lot of acclaim, and I really love it. This cover's really pretty. It's got a nice texture to it. Of course, it has, maps. You got to have your maps, things like that. But I'm really excited to have that one and be able to put that on my shelves. All right, so that's it for new books. Like I said, I don't buy a lot of new books, but, and a lot of that is, I'm frugal, but also I just really love the hunt for a bargain. So, and Sean knows that. So when he was planning today, he said that he knew the bookstore I was going to want to go to, and that is Household Books in Walnut Hills in Cincinnati. So Household Books is a used bookstore. They have both newer used books and also classic and first edition books. It's just a really cool place where you never know what you're going to find. So I got a bunch of stuff and it was very inexpensive and I was really excited about that. So let me just kind of talk you through some of these books. As you can see, I have a box. All right, so the first book, I'm just pulling them out in the order that they're in here, that I got is called The Prettiest Star by Carter Sickles. And I have seen a lot of really great things about how great this book is and how heartbreaking this book is. And I am really trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, especially you'll see with some of these choices, and read some things that are more on the literary side of fiction. And as you can see, this is basically a brand new book. This is not in any way looking used, and I only had to pay like $7 for it, and I have no complaints about that. So let me tell you what it is. So the blurb says, small town Appalachia doesn't have a lot going for it, but it's where Brian is from, where his family is, and where he's chosen to return to die. So this is a story that is set during the AIDS crisis in 1986, which is one of those subjects that I think really fascinate me. I always love to read books that are set in this time period to get this perspective on what it was like for people who were older than me, who really lived through this experience, because it's really something I think unlike anything else in our history. So I am really looking forward to reading this. I am expecting to cry a lot, but it's been on my TBR for at least 6 months. I keep getting offered a copy from the library because I'm on the list in Libby, and I keep sending it to the next person. So I feel like now that I own it, hopefully that's going to make me feel inspired to read it. So I got that one. So I have been anxiously following the New York Times list of top 100 books of the 21st century so far that they've been releasing over the past week. And I wrote down the ones that I wanted to read, and I was lucky enough to find several of them at the used bookstore. So the next book I got is The Plot Against America by Philip Roth. And this book is an alternate history. It imagines what would have happened if, for some reason, Charles Lindbergh had been elected president in 1940. And as an isolationist, he had moved to isolate the US from other countries and also struck up an agreement with Germany to kind of have a friendly cooperation, it says on the back, and what that would do to this one boy from Newark. And I don't know that much more about it than that, but I think that sounds really interesting. I love alternative history. I think that thinking about how things could have been different if only one choice had been different is something that is so fascinating. So I am really looking forward to reading that one, and I was really excited to find it at the bookstore. And then I did pick up one book that I have read before that I wanted to own, and that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. So this book is amazing, and also everyone knows super, super chunky. It is, let's see how many pages this thing is. It is 782, so it's actually not as long as it looks because the pages are very kind of thick and they have these deckled edges. So it's not quite as bad as it sounds, as it looks when you look at this incredibly chunky volume. I have read it, but I don't remember it. I remember that it was a favorite, but I don't remember why. I read it around when it came out, which would have been, let's see, 2004. So I read it around 2004 and don't remember it, but really want to read it again. And also, I know I gave it 5 stars because that's the rating I have online. So now I have a copy of it to read again for myself. And I'm pretty sure that I read an ebook copy of this. And because this book relies so heavily on footnotes, I feel like the experience of reading it from the physical book might be better, although holding this giant chunker in my hand, I am questioning that judgment, but we'll see what happens. So then I also picked up a book that I have not read that I thought I had read, and that is The Book Thief. I'm sure you've all read The Book Thief, right? But I have not read The Book Thief. I thought that I had it on my list as having had read it, and I don't remember anything about this, so I'm pretty sure that I have not read it. Narrated by Death. This is the story of Liesel Memminger, a young foster girl living outside of Munich in Nazi Germany. She scratches out a meager existence for herself by stealing when she discovers something she can't resist, books. So I don't feel like I need to know that much about it. I know that people say it's super heartbreaking. Is a theme for me in a lot of these books, I think. I am really looking forward to reading it, so was really excited to get a copy of that one. And then I, of course, had to pick up the book that was #1 on that New York Times list, spoilers, and that is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. This is very much not my usual kind of book. I don't read as much literary fiction as I read genre fiction. And then this is, generational family drama kind of stuff, which is very much not something that I ever read. But I have seen so many people whose opinions I trust on Booktube and other places say that this book is just amazing. And it's not that long. So I feel like it's something that I'm going to be able to give a try. I am really fascinated by the fact that no one knows the true identity of this author. Not that it would matter to me, because I probably don't know the true identity of, or I don't know a lot of people in Italy, so it's not going to really make a difference to me, but it's cool. This is the story of a friendship between Elena and Lila beginning in the 1950s in a poor but vibrant neighborhood on the outskirts of Naples. So this is the story of them growing up together. There are 4 volumes in this series, so if I like it, I am committing myself to four books, but I was pretty excited to pick this one up and give it a try. I was really surprised to see it as number 1 because it didn't seem somehow to me to be quite literary enough for the New York Times, but everyone loves it, so I'm going to give it a try too. And then I picked up a book that is by an author that I have not read, and that is The Yiddish Policeman Union by Michael Chabon. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know anything about this. I know he had another book that was actually on that New York Times list, and that was The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. I don't know if I said that right either. Having a great day. So I love the cover. I don't know that much about it. It says, for 60 years, Jewish refugees and their descendants have prospered in the federal district of Sitka, a temporary safe haven created in the wake of the revelations of the Holocaust and the shocking 1948 collapse of the fledgling state of Israel. Proud, grateful, and longing to be an American, the Jews of Sitka district have created their own little world in the Alaskan Panhandle. So I'm not going to read the rest of that because I don't want to be spoiled. It sounds like another alternate history. If you've read this book, please let me know how you liked it. I am excited to get to it. It's not super long. And yeah, I'm excited to read that one. I have 2 more books in here. The first one is one that I have read and I gave, I think, 4.5 stars to. And that is Starflight by Melissa Landers. So I picked this up because it was an autographed copy. Who doesn't love an autographed copy? She wrote Chase Stars there on the inside, which is fun. So this is kind of a found family space story, which, as everybody knows, is one of my favorite things in the world. It is a young adult book. I feel like it was pretty popular when it came out, or at least it was to me. It came out in 2016. It says, Solara Brooks needs a fresh start, someplace where nobody cares about the engine grease beneath her fingernails or the felony tattoos across her knuckles. The outer realm may be lawless, but it's not like the law has ever been on her side. I've read it. You're going to notice too that if you get to books that are more than 5 years ago, sometimes I'm like, I know I read that and I liked it, but I don't remember it. So maybe it might be time to reread this one and see if my opinion has changed. That's the thing I always worry about it. Sometimes I reread a book and I don't like it, and that's depressing. And I wonder what I was thinking. So hopefully if I reread this one, I will really like it. So I was excited to pick that one up. And I have one more book, and that is The Doors of Eden by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So I talked about one of his books already in here, and that is the only book of his. No, not true. I read Children of Time, the first one, which I didn't really like because I don't like spiders, but wasn't his writing. So I picked up another book from him. I think this is a standalone. It says, 4 years ago, 2 girls went looking for monsters on Bodwin Moor. Only one came back. Lee thought she'd lost Mal, but now her friend has miraculously returned. But what happened that day on the moors, and where has she been all this time? The answers will open the door to a world beyond anything either of them might have imagined. So I think that sounds really interesting. And I don't know, I haven't heard a lot about this book, but they did have it, and I thought I could try that one. He is a very prolific author. If you're looking for places to start with him, I mean, there's just a ton. I mean, he's had at least 3 book releases this year. I don't know how he does it, but I was really excited about this one. So I think that that's a pretty good book haul, and it was a pretty good birthday. As I promised earlier, I'm going to give a little bit of a channel update. Well, not so much an update, just kind of a comment. So this is, as I am filming this, it is July 15th, and that makes it almost exactly 6 months since I started this YouTube channel, and I have just really loved creating videos for this channel so much. It's not something that I ever really saw myself doing. I have another channel that's a sewing channel that I have not uploaded anything on in 2 years because videos for that take so much time that I do not have, that I kind of gave up on it, although I might go back. Never say never. But I didn't think that Booktube, even though I watched a ton of it, was going to be something that was going to be for me because I felt like it might influence the way that I read in a strange way. I was worried about having to talk to the camera this much about books and whether or not I would be able to talk about books in an intelligent kind of way. But after the holidays this past year, I just was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I've got a lot of camera equipment and lighting equipment because Sean used to be the person who was in charge of the live stream at church, and he doesn't do that anymore. So we had all this stuff, and I was like, well, we've already got, microphones and lights and things like that. So why don't we just go ahead and do a couple videos and see what happens? And I have really enjoyed all the people that I have met. I've made some friends, and that's been really wonderful. I love the community. I love people giving me recommendations down in the comments. And I think for me, I am a musician, and my entire life, adult life, up until 2 years ago, I was working as a full-time musician. Either I used to have my own piano studio, and I also, for a long time, worked for a Catholic church or various Catholic churches as their music and choir directors. So I did that for a really long time. And then almost 2 years ago now, so a year and a half before I started this channel, I reached a point when I realized that I could not do what I was doing any longer for reasons that have to do with stories that I have about working for the Catholic Church that I'm not going to go into. I thought, so I went and I got a job that is a normal 9-to-5 job, which I've never had before. I've always had these jobs that had crazy hours. When I had a teaching studio, I was always teaching until 9 p.m. because you have to get the kids after school and then teach all the way through. So that was a weird schedule. And then when I worked for churches, that was a weird schedule because I was always working every single weekend. And when I did gigs, I was out until 2 o'clock in the morning. So I've never had a 9-to-5 schedule before. So it's been really different. And in a lot of ways really great because it's very predictable, and I can leave that job at work and not have to bring it home with me in the way that I really brought home all of those other things. And I do still do stuff. It's not like I am not a musician anymore. I just don't do it full time for a living anymore. And I think that the thing that this has done for me is that it has given me another creative outlet, because my job that I have now is probably something that I would describe as pretty uncreative. That's not a criticism again, it's just, it is what it is. But I'm used to my job being 100% creative all the time. So that has turned into my hobbies, so I sew all my own clothes, and I think I'm going to take up crocheting again. And I read all the time, and I have this YouTube channel, and it's just been so wonderful to have a place that I can stretch that part of my brain, because I no longer get to do it for a living and I get to do it here. So that's really great. And if you've stuck around through all of that rambling, then I just want to say that I'm grateful for you. And it's been a great 6 months, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 months. If you are not subscribed, if you watch my videos, the stats tell me that 60% of the people that watch are not subscribed. I would love to have you as a subscriber so that you can get notified and be a part of the community that I'm trying to build here. I would love if you would leave a comment. Let me know what's the best bookish thing that you've ever gotten for a present. Would love to hear about that. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I hope that you have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.